following is a production of the University of Minnesota.
I just wanted to, while you're getting signed in, I assume that most of you have seen EdTels, our website, and this is available to everyone because you've all been added with your Google. Basically, it's Google Sites, and everybody has been added in so that you should be able to get to this simply by using this URL. c.umn.edu, and then it's SSW Tech, CHDECH, which will bring you to a place where you log in with your X500, and then you'll come to this page. And the reason I'm showing you this right now is that if what you get here is useful to you and you'd like more of this kind of training, let us know. We have a number of other things that are coming up, and those are listed here on this website under this fall 2011 workshops. So you'll see them here. This is the one for today, and then we have one 29th, October 15th, November 3rd, and December 1st. They all have topics, but those are negotiable. And the way you can let us know if there's something that you want different is to go to the feedback and suggestions, and there's a form. And just put some information in there about what it is that you're interested in, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want more of, what you want less of. Put your name in, your email address, you don't need a URL, and then submit it. And then it goes into a form that we can see your responses to. And I check that form like just about every day and see what people have said, and so far nobody's responded. So we really like this. All right, so basically each of you is in a different section. So when you work on something, it's not going to disturb anything that anybody else is doing, because this section is, you're the only one in there, and you're in the role of instructor, just like you would be in any course that you're currently in the teaching. So whatever we do here, we'll leave you in there, and you can go back to it, you can open up again and look at it and play with it if you want to. We've got quite a bit of material in here, and we're not going to get through all of it today, but that's fine. Hi. We can do more another time, or you can play with it some, and if there's something that you want more of, again, use the feedback form and let us know what that is. So, so we're going to turn editing on, and this basically is an image that, and I added some of this material, and Alfonso will get most of it, so he gets really the credit for it. And I'm going to start it out, and Alfonso's going to take off from where I leave off. So this really is just an image that's been inserted, and this is something you can do, and we'll show how to add graphics and images as we go along here. But the first thing we'll cover is what's called embedding a video. And this is a little different than just linking to a video. You can link to a video if you have a video on MediaMail, or you've got a link to a YouTube video or something. You can create a link by adding a resource. And it says, link to a file or a website. So that's always one way to do it, and I think probably most of you know how to do that. Maybe that's the way that you do it most of the time. But there are a number of other ways, depending on what kind of an effect that you want and what you want the students to see. So I've done it 3 different ways, and I'll show you what they are. So the first way is I just added a link to the YouTube video called Embedding Videos in Moodle. So this is a live link. It opens in a new window, and if you don't know how to set the settings so that it opens in the window to show you that, basically, as soon as somebody clicks on that, it takes them to that URL.
This video describes how to
and it will
embed
give
a
you that
YouTube
information.
video
And then,
into Moodle.
of course, when you're
We'll be
in
using Moodle version
YouTube, you can always make it full screen.
1.9.7,
Got it.
but it basically will apply
You
to
don't get all the extraneous.
manual
You
mouse
still get
versions
a
of
fair
Moodle.
amount of it, but. It is
So let's say you found a video
So
that
then,
you'd like
this
to
is opening
incorporate
a new
into
window,
the pages
which
that
means
you're
that
putting
we
together
can
for your
close it
course.
and
You actually want to
just get rid of it. And not lose the original Moodle site, which is one of the advantages of opening something in a new window. If you open it, if you say open in the same window, basically, what it does is it replaces, goes to that website, and then it replaces Moodle. So somebody has to click the arrow back in order to get back to Moodle. And if they close the tab, they're losing Moodle, and then they have to log back in. So generally, it's best to open in a new window, just about anything. So students don't have to, you don't have to worry about them losing it and then being frustrated. So this video is available. You can actually watch it, and it gives you some information about how to embed a video in Moodle. Then another way to do it is something called adding a label. So before we do that, though, if you go to the hammer is always your editing icon, and then you click on that, you see that what I've done here is just basically added, in this case, a label, but I put into it this text saying embedding videos in Moodle. So what I've done is the text can be, this is very much like it is in Microsoft Word or any other editing program, text editing program. As you can change the font, this is Verdana, but you can change it to Arial, or you could change it to, you know, Georgia, or whatever font you think looks good. This is an 18-point font, and you could change it to something bigger, 24, for instance, or something smaller, maybe a 12. And again, you know, this is your preference and what you think is, you know, a good size for the students to see. I chose 18. I made this italic, which you can do. It's, again, you know, this is probably all pretty familiar to you. You can make it bold. You can underline it. You can make it a superscript. But the thing here that I did was to link it, to provide that URL to the YouTube video, so that when somebody clicks on it, it links. That little chain link is what allows you to do that. The one next to it shows a chain link, but with sort of an X in it. So this is where you would break that link. So I've highlighted this. If I want to get rid of that link, I would use that. So when I added it, now it brings it up. It's going to give me a new link window. So now I'm going to have to go back and find that URL if I'm going to use this. But I don't necessarily want to break that link. I want to leave it there. So in this case, I'm just going to cancel it. But if we did go back to the, for instance, original video, so I'm going to go back here and just save those changes. There are no changes really. And go to this. So if you find, for instance, you go to YouTube, and you find
this video describes how to embed a YouTube video into Moodle. We'll be using.
This is the link. So this is the link to this video. So all I would do is copy it so that I have that, and then I would close that window. Go back here. Again, go to the hammer, highlight it. Or let's say in this case, I decided I wanted to use a different video. So I'm going back here. I'm not going to change the name, but I'm going to break the link. So now that link is no longer there. And I'm going to add, get it selected. I'm going to add the link, which now I've copied it, so I'm just going to paste it. And the title is something that is used for disability services. If somebody who's visually impaired is looking at this Moodle site, if their screen reader will say what this is. So you just might write in their YouTube video. On embedding. And then OK. So, save the changes. Oh, I didn't get it in there somehow. Let's do that again.
I have a question. It looked like you changed the title, but it's got the same title.
I did. You're right. So what this does, sorry about that, this does, this gives the URL. And this does give a title. So, for instance, if but the title shouldn't. The title, isn't this right? The title is for the.
Yeah. What happens is, depending, if you're visually impaired, you have a computer program that reads web pages to you because you can't really see the images and all the content in and videos, etc. So alternate text, what it does is for those people that have a web reader, it'll read whatever you write there. So that's not visible to the user of a web page that is using a fully functional browser, but it will be helpful for somebody else. Now, also, if in the case that for some reason that computer doesn't have what it takes to run the object that you place in that area of the web page, or the link is broken, the image is damaged, it'll also show the alternate text as a replacement. So it's just a way of saying this is what goes in this box, and if for some reason, either because the link is damaged or because somebody has a disability, you just mention to that person or what goes in that box if they can't see the actual output.
Yeah, what I didn't do is what I changed is I didn't say open in a new window, which is what you do here. Target, open a new window, because you have some other options. Same frame, same window, other, or none, but I want a new window. So if I say OK now, it has now created the link, which will open in a new window. So if I save those changes, so the title doesn't change here with the title change in the link groups. It's the same title, and it'll link back to that video.
This video describes how.
Questions about that way of linking something? All right. So then another way to do it is to actually do something which is called the embed HTML. So there is a code which will actually put the video on the page. And when students look here, they see this, just like this is, and then they can click to go ahead, and it will play the video, but it plays it on the page in that
This
box.
video describes how to embed a YouTube video into Moodle.
Now the way that you get the embed code, for instance, what I did here is I used basically I added a resource, and you can, again, if you click on the hammer here, I added a label. And I added some text into that label to say what it, just for our purposes. And then you have to add the embed code. So here you don't see the embed code, what you see is the video because I've added the embed code. And we are in what's called the editor view. This is the HTML editor. There's also an HTML raw HTML code, which is here. This, if we click on this, what we see is all the HTML code. This is where you have to add the embed video HTML. You can't add it in the editor. You'll just see the code there. You won't see the video. So the way you get that is if we go back to, I'm just going to cancel this right now. If we go back to the YouTube video.
This
Down
video
here,
describes how
I'm just
to
gonna close this.
embed.
It says share. All YouTube videos have this in them somewhere, although maybe not everyone. I don't know, there may be some videos that don't have an embed code. Do you know, Alfonso?
Most sites today include it, YouTube, Hulu, TED Talks, too, TV Talks. Most sites have a place close to the video itself that has either embed, it'll say embed, or it'll say share.
So here it is. We just scroll down a little bit further. That's it. And in YouTube, it already automatically selects it, highlights it. So all you have to do then is Control-C, copy it. And once you've done that, then you can go back. Where are we? And you can, we'll go back to this. And the thing is, you can, once you add it, you may not see it. And you'll wonder, oh, what happened? What did I do wrong? If you turn editing off, you'll see it. But here, what I've done here then is, so I may, in my editor, without using this HTML code, I may want to add some text. I might want to ask students to do something with this video, an instruction about what they're supposed to do when they look at it. And then you embed the video. But when you embed the video, you want to have this on. So here what I've done is that you see the text, and then you see some HTML code. That HTML code is the embed code that puts the video, basically takes it from YouTube and inserts that link right into the page, so that then when you save it, students will see it. So I copied that code, I would insert it here, and then, once I've done that, and again,
did I miss how you got, I saw you copy the code,
yep,
or the link.
What you copied doesn't look like that.
Right.
Yeah, you copied the link.
But
I
that's,
copied the link and not the code.
Yeah, because there was a button underneath that has the
Yeah.
underneath the link where it says embed.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I did. There it is. So this should be the same. Good checks and balances here. Yeah, and then that would be put in this spot.
Got it.
Yeah, because if you copied the link, basically there wouldn't, you'd see a link, and the link might be live, but probably not, because the HTML code for inserting a link is something that isn't included in that. That's just the URL, the link. So anyway, so then you save and return to course. And like I said, you probably don't see it here, but as soon as you turn editing off, it should show up. Yeah, there it is. So this is, this takes up space, on the page. So you want to think about, is it worth using that much space? You can change the size of this. You know, there's a default size, which I think is like 640 by 320 or something. That's pixels, there's 25 pixels to an inch. Well, no, not 25 pixels to an inch. That would be way too much. Do you remember the
I remember the conversion.
Yeah, but there's a conversion, and so I mean you can do it in inches or in pixels, but you can't expand that or make it smaller. But it won't get any bigger. Well, maybe it will actually. Yeah, if you. I don't think it will to this one. Normally, this little link right here will expand it into a full screen. But I think once you, maybe you can, we'll try it.
This video describes how to,
Yes, it
this
does.
video
So you can
describes
still
how
expand
to
it. So even if you made it
embed a
smaller,
YouTube video
they can
into
click on it
Moodle.
and it would get
We'll
make it
be
bigger so they
using
can view
Moodle version 1.9.7, but it basically will apply to.
Then one last way to do it is basically, you know, where is that? Okay. Here, in video embedding a video using a link. So here, what I've done is created, you know, another link to a video file, but I've used the embed code rather than just the URL. So for instance, if we go back,
This video describes how to embed it.
so here, that's not what I want to do. I can turn editing back on. And again, I'll use that little camera icon. So I just gave it a name. And then, again, you always open in the HTML editor. I used this, and then added the, yeah, right here. This is, so I used the text in this box, which is the first one, information, but then composed a web page. So that's what I did, is I added the resource, compose a web page, and I put the embed code there when I switched to the HTML view. Again, I opened it in a new window. Here it tells you what it's 620 by 450 is sort of the default. Those are pixels. So what if I said I want to, here it wouldn't matter much if you made it smaller or not, because you know they don't see it on the main page anyway. You're seeing it when they click on that link. But you still wanted to open it into a new page. So again, you're not going to see it until you click off the editing. But this is, again, the way to do this is when you add a resource, you are composing a web page to add that embed code. And just giving it a title and some text if you want it. So video on embedding a video using a link. And then you add the embed code into the web page. So that's 3 different ways basically of doing this. So the first one was to just make a link to a text. Another one was to embed the code so that it's on the page itself, and then to use it as a link, so that when they open the link, that's what you did the other day, right? Why did you use this versus putting it on the page?
Well, when we talked about it, I had already done it actually, so it was more like, that just seems good enough. They probably are gonna wanna watch it in a big window anyway. It wasn't something where I was telling them to go to the site and watch it and it's really important. It was something we had already seen in class and I was using it as a reference, so it wasn't important for me that it take up space.
Okay, so that seemed to work fine.
Yeah, but if you just click on it, it goes right to a new window, so.
So is there any time you think you would want to have it on the page? And why would you want to do that? So the students, when they looked at the Moodles, that they would actually see the video there.
I could see if you were doing an online course and you had information you had to share with them and you videoed yourself. I mean, something where you really want them to see you and click on you before they do anything else.
So it'd make it very obvious. Yeah. Any other things you think you would want to use this versus just a link? Or, I mean, here they can see it, and they see it right away, and they see it on the main page.
More inviting.
It's more inviting, yeah. It's like, oh yeah, what is that?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And so if it was something you thought was really important, you really want to make sure they watch this, you could even, add that text to it. Watch this video, you'll be graded on the contents or whatever. So you can make it more obvious. Okay, I'm going to give it over to Alfonso here. He's going to talk about some other things. Or here's you've got a little exercise. You want to do that?
Practice.
Yeah. So we want you to do this yourself. So you can find a video, and here's some links to YouTube. This is Vimeo.
Vimeo. It's video editors prefer that service sometimes because the quality is a bit higher end of it. But so it's usually seen as an alternate. It's YouTube or Vimeo. There are others too, but that's one of the main ones at the moment. And then the other ones are they distribute content. So Vimeo and YouTube, they tailor more as the independent user, or people can have a YouTube channel, and organizations do, including Moodle. But then there are others that have a more specific agenda. So TED Talks, they all focus around the conference and people are going to present their ideas in 13 to 18 minutes. Hulu has the particular networks that they work with. And then RSA Animate also has illustrated synopsis or summaries of books that have been very captivating. So it's Vimeo, RSA Animate and TED Talk focus about being visually appealing with very big ideas, while the other ones have more of a larger array of information that you can find. YouTube has millions of videos. And all of them, primarily I wanted to show some alternatives because in most sites today you will have the ability to borrow the embedding code. Now, the importance of embedding is also that you're not copying the video, so you're respecting the copyrights of the site. And you're just linking it in a way that is more visually appealing. So all of them, so those are just options. There are many others, but those are just some options that if you go to any of those sites, just try to find the embedding code. And once you find it, then, so it's just basically what we're talking about, what Peter was explaining, just adding a resource, and in the way that you think you'll use it in a class, maybe it's probably what's most useful to you. It's just a practice exercise, so that what we talk, we do it over again, and the more times the better.
So we'll just wander around and help you with, finding the embedded code. Using
When you say modify the HTML code, what do you mean? How do you modify it?
Well, you can, for instance, like the other day we were doing something, and every time we opened the window, the video started playing automatically. And we didn't want it to play automatically. We wanted to be able to click on it and then play it. So if you click on that little double kind of bracket and open the HTML, code, itself. There's something that says autoplay on, or autoplay, what was
True.
it?
True or
True,
false.
true or false. So it was true, but we just changed it to false. So there are things like that that you can do if there's something happening that you don't want to happen. By using that HTML, you can actually figure it out. Well, obviously, audio play true is put in false. You know, it's like some of it's fairly self-intuitive. But so anyway, but that's all stuff that we can. I mean, when you see something and you say, "I don't like this," but don't think you're stuck with it because you may not be. There's usually ways around it, and if you can't figure it out, we can help you with it.
I mean, another part where you can modify the HTML code that was pretty useful was with you upload an image. Same when you embed a video, you bring an image to the site, and maybe it's too large. And then after you placed it, you're like, well, I'd rather not spend that much of my course space, my website space on that image. So going to the HTML code is a way to reduce the site, fix a link, and a lot of those, I mean, you can deduce them without having to know much because you're not putting the brackets or the code itself. All you're doing is really looking for the particular value you're trying to change. So it could be true, false, or it could be a pixel number. If it's 500 pixels, you're like, well, I would rather that image be half the size. So you just reduce it to half of it.
Thank you. All right, obviously we didn't get through nearly as much as we would have liked, but this website, now only you are the owners of it, so you can go back to it any time that you want to. And the other thing is that there's a whole lot more in there than what we have covered today. And if you can just maybe browse through it, and if you want to add this again, we'll just kind of give them a little preview of what else is there. And then we can do it another time. You can go in and look yourself if you want to see some of the things. Alfonso put a ton of stuff in there. We were thinking that, the online for foundation course is coming up in the next about 2 to 3 weeks. And I don't know how many of you are thinking of using or have already started using Camtasia Studio to record something for your online course. But we could do one of these on Camtasia Studio next time, since I don't know how important it is.
It's improved,
It is for you, right? Yeah.
except for everybody, foundation.
Yeah. So we could do that for next time, which would be in a couple of weeks, or we could, do it sooner. But I think it's up to you. That's where give me feedback if it's something that you want. Otherwise, there's a lot of other things that we have planned. Maybe you can just quickly show what some of the other possibilities are here.
So part of what we wanted to also overview quickly was some of the main functions in your administration part. Some of the questions that different faculty members had were regarding my students are not enrolled in the class yet. How do I add a student myself, or add a visitor account to it, or how do I send a message to students? So on that section, on the following section after embedding videos, what we overviewed was how to do some of those things. And if you, whenever you want to, there's a PowerPoint there, and also a PowerPoint here. If you click on it, it'll take you to a PowerPoint that's on the cloud, so you can see some of those main steps. We're going to talk about them in more detail, but basically some of the most commonly and frequently asked management side questions, and we felt that it would be good to overview them and review them a little bit. Then there was some practice related to that. So sometimes you want to be able to test what you do on a site, and you create an exercise, and we'll help with that. If you come up with an idea and you want help, please let us know. Anything, we'll see how it's possible and what are the limitations. But if you have some idea and you're brainstorming, please share it with us. But one way that sometimes the instructor wants to make sure that something works in Moodle is to create a student account of an additional email address that they own. So that's one of the things that we're going to do, was just create an additional account, request a Moodle UMN account through that email, and then add it, and be able then to access your site. You can always, at the top, it allows you to switch your role from instructor to student, but that's not 100% accurate, so sometimes it's better to actually have an additional account. That's why we suggest that, well, if that's a concern of yours, then we can help you do that, and in that case you can access with a private email your Moodle site with a student account that you're 100% sure it works like a student account. Another part that we didn't discuss too much about is audio works similar to video, and both of them most of the time are copyrighted. Audio files, some music files, you can find them. If you click on that link, it'll take you to a search engine and allow you to see different sites that have search engines that share music that's open and free available, and then you can embed that music or download the file or add that file to any project that you have, depending on the license they have. So that's just a song that is freely available, and I just embedded it in the site. I also was able to download the file. So other small things, you can add images and then format it to the right size. So modifying images, there's both openly accessible software for that, and there's also software that's proprietary. So you have a computer with Photoshop and CS5, that's great, or iPhoto. But if you don't have a computer that has proprietary high-end editing software, then there's ways to still work with images and get a lot of the same effects for free using an open source software. Finding an image is also, unlike videos, when you copy an image, you're duplicating it. So a lot of times, all these images, they're no longer links. They're there. That means unless I have an image that I am allowed to use, I'm violating somebody's copyright. So a lot of times, if you don't own the image and it's copyrighted, link to it, just send the students to that page where that image is, or just use the finding an image. And here are some different search engines, but modified so they can own, so they're searching for the right either public domain images or Creative Commons images with different licenses. So Flickr and Google include millions of images, but they also have functionalities that they have particular places in their site that are tailored towards searching for Creative Commons images or public domain images. That you are able to then just borrow, copy, modify some of them, even use commercially depending on the license they have, and then not be infringing anybody's copyright. Another part that we're going to talk about is you have a little eye function in Moodle that allows you to both make a whole block invisible to students or make particular assignments invisible to students. So being able to display particular parts of the page whenever you think they're appropriate to be displayed, and the students are ready to see that material. That's something that we wanted to play around with. And then working with the HTML editor or the text editor, being able to highlight, change the font, and also adding parts to a table. Using anything that you add on a label function goes in that main page. So all the other ones, they link to a different resource that's yours within your Moodle site, but not in your main front page. So most of the parts in this site were created using the label function, the label resource. And then we're just going to edit this table. I purposely broke this link. And this is where the whole disability text that we enter, that's what happens. If the image link is broken, it shows up. So then a student with disability, or if the link for some reason is damaged, there's still a way to know what should be there in that box. So I broke that link on purpose. I added a letter to it. I changed the size of this picture and the size of the last picture to make them look, you know how they are intended to look. And the goal of this exercise was to go into the HTML editor and be able to kind of find where things are within an HTML editor, so that you feel more comfortable into knowing that it's not that hard. It's most of the time just looking for something that stands out. You look at the pixel size, all of them are 200 by 200, and one of them is 200 by 300. Well, it's not that hard to fix, and sometimes it can be intimidating. And then another part is just there's like an iPhone app game that what it does is it gives you a list of words, and then you can rearrange them and make verses by doing that. And then the two people make a verse, and then they send it to a community, and they vote on who made the best verse based on the words that were available. But the whole point of it was to get used to the functionality of that you can move anything you want to in Moodle, both a whole block up or down, or you can move an assignment to any part in the site too. So if you don't like the way you laid out a site, or you want to be able to move this whole block 6 down to block 7 and block 7 up, you can do all of that. And most of those functions are, you have to turn editing on, but so the two functions that I just mentioned, that little I is on both resources. So if I click there, then they won't be able to see that audio file anymore. And this whole text is looks a little bit different now. It's visible to us, but on that change of color, a little bit dimmer. And if you want to just disappear a whole section, I just disappear section 2. And for moving up or down, it would be these little arrows right here, or these little arrows right here. So it allows you to have that flexibility within a site. And some faculty members weren't using the functionality, so they were putting all or many of the resources within a single box. And that can work, but if you do that, it also limits sometimes how easily you can move a whole group of assignments up or down. That's something that that block system is set up so that it makes it easier for the instructor to move things up or down. And we were also going to talk a little bit about Hammer, and there were other aspects too that we're planning on discussing a little more in detail. But again, any problems that you have, we're more than happy to see how we can sort them out, and also the sites available to you for that, for you to be able to play around with it. It's your own private site. We created one site, then that's another possibility you have with Moodle is you have different sites to be able to just import resources. So we imported the same site 9 other times so that everybody could have that access as an instructor to these sites and be able to play around with different parts of it. And there was also a zip file and other elements in the files folder that we could have discussed too. And it includes also a file management system. But again, it's all available for you. And knowing that there's different ways to display the site, and display can help students remain a little bit more focused, like highlighting a particular block with the little light bulb so that they know that block 3 is the one that you're discussing in that particular time, or just click the little minus sign and nothing else except that block is what will be visible to students. So when a site gets cluttered, you can declutter it if you use the whole block system. But well, it's great to see you all come here.
Yeah, and so obviously we planned a whole lot more than we ever had time for, and we kind of figured that, but we can certainly focus on any of this stuff in future seminars. And I think the next time we'll also try to RSVP, because I can order some snacks and have a few things here to munch on. Is an hour? I mean, this went by pretty quick, and I don't know if an hour seems to be about as much time as you can afford. Could you come an hour and a half, for instance? Or would that be like stretching it for most people? For you, anyway. We don't know about everybody. You probably could.
Depends on the day of the week.